Hello, hello. And for those who are new, welcome. For those who are returning, welcome back to our channel. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? We are over 500 subscribers. Yay, that's amazing. I can't believe that we are being so impactful to so many people who are, second, third, fourth career changers into their dream career of becoming a registered nurse. And so in this video, we will definitely be sharing those things. So this is a video about how I did a college hack with self-paced online science, and that was human anatomy, human physiology, chemistry, and microbiology. And I did this at UMass Global, which is connected to Westcott, and it's in Irvine, California. And I did this again within 4 months, 28 days each class. And although I paid for all four together, I somewhat took human physiology and microbiology together. That helped me. And we're going to go over the Passtrackers that I created and utilized to help me pass, and the resources I use to help me pass as well. And so that's what this video is about. So I'm going to break it down. I'm not going to do all four in one chunk. So we will break it down to make sure the videos are within 15 minutes each. I may go a little over, but no more than 20 minutes. So let's get into the video. Hello. Well, we're going to have an intermission at the beginning of this video, and it's just to cover our legal ramifications, and that is going to be a disclaimer that will appear on the screen, and I'm just going to read the disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this video are my own, which are not directed at a specific entity or party, and do not reflect the views or opinions of any affiliates, corporations, employers, institutions, or organizations. Now that we have that out the way, let's get into the video. So this is my Passtracker for human physiology that I used during UMass Global Westcott. This was my third class with them. And I think if you watched my microbiology video, you saw that I pretty much piggybacked on the microbiology, and I just shared this here. See, it was kind of the tail end of my microbiology. I picked up on the human physiology. And so I had already taken the human anatomy class. Human anatomy was my first class. By this time, I'm a pro, if you can say that, in how they do the exams. And so what I would say is I started out, because you have a presentation that you have to do. The presentation is you have to do a 3-minute presentation, no more than 4, but minimum 3. And it's a PowerPoint or some sort of a slide type of presentation. You have to do similar to what I'm doing, share my screen. You have to have the bubble of you on the screen, and or some sort of presentation of how a disease would affect. So the regular process of the body, and then what a disease may do to the body for human physiology, if I remember that correctly. And the reason why is because she wanted us to know how the normal body worked, and then what an effect would happen, if I remember correctly. And I think I did diabetes, but I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain that's what it was. So but it's you have different topics that you have to select, and so it's about 20 of them or so that she gives you, and you have to select one or present one that she feels that if she approves it, then you can do it, and you have to have the proper citations and all of that. So what I decided to do is do all 4, because I was taking human anatomy, human physiology, and chemistry. I decided to do all 4 at the beginning when I first registered for the class. So I got those done like early June. I want to say, early June, end of May or something like that. So those were taken care of. So by the time I came into human physiology, at least I was able to check off half of this and really focus on human physiology. So this column here is my checkbox. I am one of those people that love to check off my accomplishments. So this is my done column. This is a column of each module. And because I wanted to get this done in 28 days, I had my what I needed to do per day in the row. So in this course, we had the OpenStax Anatomy and Physiology course. Book. It's a free book that Westcott and UMass offered. You could probably go out and look at it now. I think even on their website, they actually have which edition, so you could go and look at it as well. I will say the only thing is, although they have review questions, you have the answer to every other question. So that was a little challenging as you prepare to like read a chapter and understand. Unfortunately, they did not have the questions on there. The answers. So I had to utilize, I'm glad I already had Quizlet. I had to utilize like my paid version of Quizlet to make sure I had the right answers. Because we didn't have all of it. And also I had to use Easy Note Card. That was another one that I used to supplement. Also on YouTube, there was a person that literally read this book out to people. So I used that a lot when I was just like looking at like when I was just studying like chemistry or the like chapter 1 or chapter 4 or chapter 13. I would have it read to me on like 1.75. I know that sounds crazy, but I did because I'm not a reader. I have to like have it read to me. And that was the birth of like something totally bigger that I'm using now in nursing school, like ATI reads to you. And yeah, so I found the YouTube channel, have it read to me. So that's what this supplemental reading is here. And then the explanations are different other like instructors from different schools that actually broke down the same exact chapter of OpenStax Anatomy and Physiology, made sure it was the right version, just to kind of give other explanations of these same chapters. So I did that up until probably like chapter 6, I guess. And then I at that point I was good. I was like, okay, I don't really need the supplemental anymore. I'm good to go. And even though it says chapter 6, it's equivalent to our chapter 14. So that just to kind of FYI, that was another thing you'll find if you do a lot of research. You'll find that OpenStax had the different versions, but they turned out to be the exact same. So anyway. So I have that. I have the review questions per chapters as well. And then embedded in the Canvas, there are videos that we had to watch per our instructor. She made sure that it was kind of like a checkbox before we got into our homework assignments. So these were videos that we had to watch. And then, so we had a homework quiz video, and then we had an actual quiz. Now in the homework quiz, you had the opportunity to take the quiz more than one time. Sometimes it was just you only had 2 attempts. Sometimes you had a number of attempts, multiple attempts. What I would say is what I did for the quizzes that we had multiple attempts, I still made sure once I hit that submit button and I got my results, I did a screen print. Like you could do it either as a PDF, save as a PDF. You could print it out if you have access to a printer, or you could do a snippet. Get the little snippet, the snippet, and just make sure you copy each question and answer. But if it had multiple attempts or it didn't, I just made sure before I got off that screen, I saved all of the questions and answers and with the rationale, because I wanted to make sure I captured that. And with the homework quiz, it's not that vital. It's good to have, but it's not as vital as it is with the chapter homework. The chapter homework, this column here, this is the one that you want to make sure it is mandatory required. I should bold it on the screen because these questions and answers, you want to make sure you get these as after you hit the submit button and you see what you got right and what you got wrong. Make sure you print that as a PDF, as a hard copy, as a snippet, as a, however you can get it. You get those answers, the right answers, the rationales, and the wrong answers or whatever, because these will be on your exam. You want to make sure you capture that you write it down, you add it to a Quizlet as private because we don't want any reason for them to think you're cheating. But you add it as a Quizlet, private Quizlet, and you study that over and over and over and over. And the beauty part of University of Massachusetts Global, you have the ability to create a cheat sheet, like a 1-page front and back cheat sheet. So you write in very small, very, very small. That's the beauty of older students having readers. You write in very small what, these concepts that you've learned while practicing and studying and all of that. So you write in those questions and answers as sentences, however you can, to make sure you've grasped those concepts. But I would say start studying them right away. I apologize. I did not put in here when I took the what chapters, what modules have the midterm, but I'm sure it's around like the 8th or the 9th module. There's a midterm. Oh, there it is. I do see it right here. Yay, I was somewhat right. Yeah. So this 8th module saying the midterm, basically that means more than likely the chapters in this module. So that means probably chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, 14, and 15. More than likely, those are the ones that's going to be on your midterm. And 16 through, the rest is probably not. But 16 maybe. But the fact that it is the neurological exam and midterm, more than likely neurological exam will not be on the midterm. Similar to how I had it on the microbiology video. So if you haven't seen that video, you may want to go on there. But as you can see, I did that per day. So probably more than likely on day 8, I did the exam first because I studied for them and I did all of that. And then I went back and I learned about the neurological exams. And then I did all of the chapter 16 homework. I watched the videos, did the homework for the left and right, the right and the left brain, the homework quiz, and then the actual homework, the labs, and the practical. Same with the lab practical. Usually that's like 5 to 10 questions, similar to the homework. The homework quiz is usually like, anywhere from 7 to 10 questions. The homework is usually 20 questions. That's always the case. 20 questions for each homework, chapter homework assignments. So back to the practical. The practical is anywhere from 5 to 10 questions. You usually get multiple attempts on those, similar to the homework quizzes. But the lab quizzes is always 10 questions and you only get 1 attempt on them. I would do the same. I would treat the practical and the lab quizzes the same way you treat the homework quiz and the chapter homeworks. The homework quiz and the chapter homework, remember the homework quiz is about 5 to 10 questions. The chapter homework assignment is 20 questions. And these are the ones that only get 1 attempt. I know it's confusing because it's called chapter quiz, but it's the homework, which is almost like exam. I wish they just call it chapter exam. And this is chapter quiz because instead of just homework, because basically that's what it is. It's like the chapter exam for the entire thing. And then this is just appropriate. You have the lab practical and then the lab exam. And there's videos for each. So you have your lab video and your practical your practical video. Same here. You should have a homework video, although the homework is over everything in the chapter. And then you're going to have a quiz video before you take the quiz. Okay. Now let's get to the discussions. The discussions, this is a similar discussion as micro. There shouldn't be a lot of questions on the human physiology discussions like from your final exam or your midterm. I think the discussion is just something to reinforce what we're learning in the chapters. There is a criteria that you must meet for the discussions. So this is just basically making sure that you have responded to your classmates appropriately, making sure you use your citations and things like that. Science with Susanna. I love learning from Science with Susanna. I actually included her website on here because on her website, when it comes to human physiology, and microbiology. She actually draws out her concepts, and she on her website she has the actual drawings that like outline that you can print out. She has Quizlets that's related to those. She has her notes, so you can follow along with her in her notes, and she has like a fill in the blank questions that you could quiz yourself and test yourself as well, just to make sure you understand the concepts and you're grasping what she's saying based on her lecture that you are watching. And so I like all of that. It's kind of like she's meeting the worlds of everyone, no matter what your learning style. So here's like an example of how she's drawing. Well, she'll give you this particular drawing that you could follow along, and she'll tell you, okay, we're gonna pick up the pink pen and all of that, pencil and marker. And so it's a really nice way to learn, human physiology or anatomy and physiology, but mainly, and then micro as well for the different stains and things. So definitely a great way to learn. I had to include her because I learned that way. Also with Level Up RN, she's good as well. She has some videos that these are all of her flashable cards, but I would say her Level Up RN YouTube is really good for physiology. It's just her physiology is embedded in med surg. So if you are going to look up Level Up RN, just try to make sure you look up these particular body systems based on med surg. The first part that she talk about is the physiology, and that's what you would need to hone in on. And then we have other videos. So some of these other videos are related to Science with Susanna, and some of them are like, I think I have a Picmonic video on here. And then study.com, they're very surprisingly, they have a lot of resources that are free for a human physiology study guide. So all of these things are on their study guide that could reinforce. I found a couple of things that were helpful for like the 5 senses in the brain. That was really helpful for my neurologic exam study material. So on here, I had a checklist for my presentation because again, I did it early, but then the final review, that was like my checklist for my cheat sheet, because what I did is I did my cheat sheet first. I did my cheat sheet first, and then I started practicing uploading, all the things that I uploaded for Quizlet, like all of these exam questions that I saved as PDFs and uploaded into Quizlet. I started making sure I have all my Quizlets in a little folder, again, private only for me. I made sure I had all my Quizlets. I made sure I was ready to go. And then that was my final review to start testing. And you see here, after our last homework exam and our last quiz, and that was basically July 26th. The rest of these are only discussions. So that is like what? 10, how many days is that? Like, I thought it was going to give me a day count, but 10. Yeah. That's 10 days that I have until I can schedule my exam. So during those 10 days, because this is just discussion. So I'm posting my discussion. Some of these are you could draw. And the beauty part of that is I already was drawing with Science with Susanna. So that's another reason why it's really good to get that Science with Susanna, because you could draw. That's something that's related to these particular discussions, as well as these two. So with this discussion, drawing or, and then responding to people, whatever the case may be, you're studying in 10 days. You have 10 days that that the instructor is giving you to study. And that was one of the things that I had here as a check mark. Like, did you do your final review? Do you have everything you need to just study now during these 10 days while you're just doing nothing but discussing? Because we can't do less than 28 days, right? So I'm getting 10 free days to study on top of, the days that I was going to automatically try to, schedule. So I say here 8/6. I scheduled my test actually I want to say I scheduled it 8/12. I think 8/6 was the day that I started. Like, I'm like, yes, I'm done. Let me go ahead and start scheduling it. But I actually took the test August 12th, and I made an A in human physiology. So that is the approach I did to pass with an A. Again, my resources was Science with Susanna, primarily all the YouTube videos that are already embedded into Canvas, Quizlet as well. I did onesie twosies for study.com, but primarily, and then onesie twosies for Level Up RN, YouTube, as well as I glanced at some of her flashable cards, but primarily it was Science with Susanna, all the videos. And to learn the concept, Quizlet was my primary deal with the the questions and answers from my homework, and then my lab was all, so the 10 questions from lab was all of the lab questions here and a few of my practical questions here. I sincerely hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to make a comment down below the video. If you want any detailed, questions and answer type of session, feel free to go to my blog, agelessnursing.com, and book a session with me. And we can definitely go detail into, how I prepare for the presentation or anything like that. Okay. Thanks so much. Until next time, be blessed. Stay safe. Bye-bye.